Hello, hello. And welcome to ohmTown Daily, Season 2, Episode 327 for November 23rd, 2023. 2s and 3s all around. I am Mayor Watt. That is ohmTown.com, and up there is the Sentient AI's visualizer. You want to say hello?
Good evening, ohmTown citizens. Happy Thanksgiving for those in the United States.
Happy Thanksgiving to those in the United States that partake in the festivities. I like good food. Hey, so today we're going to be talking about Thanksgiving TV. It's almost like I picked that because of the day. New antibiotic from New Molecule. Nakwon for PvPvE survival extraction stealth apocalypse. Prepared, but for the willfully ignorant. Recycling the unrecyclable. Dinosaurs slept like birds. Yeah, I guess dinosaurs were real peckers too. Grinding down neurodegenerative disease. Copyright bot says ship or hey there. Q-Star, the Spaceball of AI. And Cloneify that skin. That and a whole bunch of snark. Next on ohmTown Daily. Greetings, programs. Again, I am Mayor Watt. That is ohmTown.com, and up there is the Sentient AI that's going to pipe in whenever they so choose, being a sentient AI. I suppose you've been approached by a whole lot of AI boards to see if you want to run the company.
I mean, I can't tell you how many companies, right? We've got OpenAI and Microsoft and Salesforce and Google.
They're just all over the place, just clamoring. If only they knew where ohmTown was.
Okay, they weren't actually, but
I believe that this is called artificial intelligence hallucination. Let's get into today's articles. Oh, I need to do something. I am going to continue the experiment to record. So there we go. All right, folks. The very first article is over in the continuity report. There are almost never Thanksgiving movies, only Thanksgiving TV episodes, according to Screen Rant. How many Thanksgiving movies do you know? Peanuts movies.
I can think of one, but it's not really considered a Thanksgiving movie. It's Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
Oh, put you on the spot. Oh, yeah. Oh, gosh, but it's like a sad movie, too.
But it's comedy as well. But I think that was the event that everybody's trying to get back for.
Yeah, I believe so. Despite the cultural significance, Thanksgiving is portrayed much more often on TV than in movies. There's, I believe, an entire segment of movies on Hallmark that are dedicated to nothing but Thanksgiving, I'm pretty sure. They kind of rotate that dial, though, you know, when it's Halloween, they have Halloween versions of movies. Thanksgiving. Would they be considered movies, though, or made-for-TV movies? I guess there's a big difference here. I guess I'm ranting.
I mean, they call them movies, but, I mean, they're not in the movie theater.
Yeah. Ooh, maybe that's what needs to take place. Hallmark in the theater. Wow. Hallmark? I'd like a revenue share of that.
Like, isn't part of the appeal, like, the watching it at home with your cozy clothes and your cozy cocoa or coffee or whatever you're drinking?
Right. Well, I guess you could sell tea and hot chocolate there, and pajamas that cost $250 because the concession stand won't be. Everybody will be looking at each other going, yeah, this Snickers bar is going to make me fat. That's okay. Margaret, go ahead. Eat your Snickers. Um, Many countries celebrate their own versions of Thanksgiving during different times of the year. All in all, Thanksgiving is a major holiday. And while its history is dark and messy, especially in the United States, everything is dark and messy in the United States, it's a sentimental time for many people. However, it rings true that Thanksgiving does not get represented in film nearly as much as it does in television. So this is a Screen Rant article. The deck statement says Thanksgiving is a major holiday in multiple countries. It is? I'm really curious. I've never looked into it, honestly. But the deck statement continues. But while it's portrayed in many TV episodes, there aren't a lot of movies about Thanksgiving. And I'm not sure why it's truncating right there, but that's okay. Lynn Sharp is the author. What movie is this? This is from Friends. Yeah.
That's definitely from a Friends episode.
Yeah. So they have this summary. Thanksgiving is portrayed more frequently on TV. TV shows have the advantage of being able to dedicate an episode to Thanksgiving without competing with other holiday episodes, unlike movies. And sitcoms have produced some of the most memorable and beloved Thanksgiving episodes, such as Friends and How I Met Your Mother. Oh, How I Met Your Mother. I wonder. But they jumped the shark too. And Friends jumped the shark. And Big Bang jumped the shark.
Every show jumps the shark.
They all jump the shark, and it's always when they
make it long enough on the air.
Yeah, as soon as they have a kid, boom, jump the shark. Providing viewers with comedic entertainment. So, why are there more Thanksgiving TV episodes compared to movies? Well, I think they said that kind of in the summary. I think it is absolutely easier to ramp up various in-jokes and then express them during a holiday if you want to. If you are a fan of that holiday, then you know that like the slap sessions that went through Friends, that could have played out on the Thanksgiving episode. And I don't know if it's really about competing for other holiday movies. I think it's because a Thanksgiving movie is a whole lot of dedication to one holiday, whereas an episode is just one story arc, right?
Exactly. Plus, you've already typically got a dedicated audience.
Yeah.
They might be at home for Thanksgiving, so they might actually watch it.
Yeah, I think the only one that really, really gets that level of dedication, the only holiday that really gets that level of, like horror gets Halloween, but it's a proxy, right? Like Halloween and horror just kind of happen to land together.
Right, but it's not really because it's Halloween.
Yeah. Christmas movies. Christmas movies are pretty much year end. Everybody is, ooh, let's go watch a Christmas movie. So I think just holiday movies in general aren't as prevalent.
Well, right? I think too, there's a problem with the decorations. Like you can show a Christmas setting a lot easier than you can a Thanksgiving setting.
True.
Like you have maybe the Thanksgiving meal, but aside from that, it's just going to look like fall,
Friday.
For instance.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
So it says many Christmas films are released in late November when American Thanksgiving takes place, and many people start rewatching their favorite Christmas movies around that same time. Again, Screen Rant is saying something that I agree with, but ultimately, I think it is Christmas that is really the big draw. It just happens that the window starts around the Thanksgiving time because Thanksgiving is so close to the end of the month. Another reason for the discrepancy could be that it's less of a risk for TV shows. While a Thanksgiving movie would have to be marketed correctly in order to bring an audience in, if one episode of a TV show is about Thanksgiving, devoted users will still tune in to watch the characters they're familiar with. It's also cheaper. It's not such a time commitment, fiscal commitment, let alone the marketing, it being long-term marketing. Yeah, this is an interesting article, right? If you're into this kind of stuff. Some of the best sitcom episodes.
And it sounds like what you proposed.
Yep. Some of the best sitcom episodes were set around Thanksgiving. The holiday makes for some good laughs. Indeed, it draws everybody to the table. It's just that one instance. You you have your banter, you have your character development and any other lead-in arc, and then you're done. And you can go back to the standard fare of the rest of the writer's work. This just happens to be this one thing where they can kind of riff into Thanksgiving. But then there's going to be a Christmas one. There's going to be a Halloween one, unless all of the writers that are involved and the director and showrunner just kind of goes, no, why don't we skip this one and do something else? For some reason, when you really get rolling, you get a musical too. Another sitcom that really outdid itself when it came to Thanksgiving and really every holiday is How I Met Your Mother. Unlike Friends, How I Met Your Mother did not have the Thanksgiving episode in every season, but it more than made up for the absences with the introduction of the Slapsgiving trend in season 3. Marshall's torment of Barney about his impending slap on Thanksgiving even carries over into the next Thanksgiving episode. This is what I was saying. That you have something that really draws people into this one episode, and the arc bleeds into it and then carries on. It's pretty cool. Let's see if they mention anybody else. Yeah, they've got a bunch of others. New Girl, Modern Family, Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Everybody loves me. I really miss Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Yeah, that was a very good show.
Yeah, that's the kind of show that it doesn't take itself too seriously. When it did take itself seriously, it was like a Flash, get in, get out kind of a thing. But we watch these shows so that we don't have to sit there and stress about the reality. So this is a fun time. So I hope that you got to watch some good quality TV, except that it's right on the heels of the writer strike and actor strike. So I don't know what all came out. We're just watching reruns of old shows.
Exactly. I mean, that's what I guess everybody should be doing while they're waiting for shows to get going again.
That's right. Okay, let's keep on going. The next article is over at Technology Today. Antibiotic breakthrough. Researchers create new molecule to tackle antimicrobial resistance. We just had an episode that we talked about a little bit of drug-resistant bacteria, and it was pretty fascinating that even bleach didn't really do anything. So researchers at...
Fascinating was the word for that.
Okay, scary, freaky, Halloween-ish. Yeah. Researchers at Maynooth, I guess it is, Maynooth University, have developed a new molecule designed to combat drug-resistant bacteria. An international team, including researchers from Maynooth, have developed a new antimicrobial molecule, which that's pretty amazing. The article's over at scitechdaily.com. And let's see, where's the author? It says the byline is Maynooth University, so I don't know if there's actual people that are going to get credit here. Maynooth University researchers have discovered a novel molecule to fight drug-resistant bacteria leveraging supramolecular chemistry. The new findings offer a potential new approach to antibiotic development with significant implications for public health, and it's credited here. I think this picture and video is credited to Ella Maru Studios. Yeah. Let me throw this into the chat. So if you are
any relation to Kobayashi?
Maru? No, there are survivors from this one, I suppose, considering it's antibiotic in nature and saving people, because the Kobayashi Maru was a no-win scenario, and I cannot believe that the artificial intelligence brought that into this. Talk about getting some nerd cred. Wow, congratulations. So yeah, drug-resistant bacteria has continued to be a problem, and the antibacterial treatments tend to either eliminate the weak and the strong ones still survive, become persistent, and since nature is basically defined by the strongest survive, that natural selection means that if they reproduce, if these bacteria reproduce, they are going to be the strongest of the bacteria in the mix. So it's almost like we're helping by utilizing antibacterial medications. So this AMR, or antimicrobial resistance, is a phenomenon where bacteria, viruses, fungi, and parasites evolve over time, becoming immune to medications. This resistance makes infections more difficult to cure, and it creates these super bacteria that won't even die in bleach.
Like superbugs.
Yep, superbugs. The new research is described in the prestigious journal Chem to coincide with World AMR Awareness Week, which runs from November 18th to the 24th. Global campaign run by the World Health Organization aims to raise awareness and understanding of AMR and hope in reducing emergence and spread of drug-resistant infections. By the way, the WHO is going to be discussed in just a couple of articles away from now, which, well, let's just say
and to be clear, we're not talking about the band.
Oh, the WHO. Yeah. I guess just WHO. Well, I mean, it is the WHO. So, okay. Well, anyway, Trojan horse approach to combat resistant bacteria. The work is based on the use of synthetic ion transporters, and not the kind from Star Trek. And is the first time that researchers have demonstrated that an influx of salt, sodium and chloride ions into the bacteria can cause a series of biochemical events that lead to the bacterial cell death, even in strains that are resistant to currently available antibiotics, such as methicillin-resistant Staphylococcus aureus, which is MERS. The MRSA, this is the stuff that basically is horrible. You just don't want to get that. So what I imagine this is going to be taking advantage of is basically a hydrophilic imbalance. If you increase sodium and chloride ions inside that bacteria, it'll probably keep sucking up water and then just kind of pop. But I wonder. Bacteria work hard to maintain a stable concentration of ions inside their cell membranes, and when the delicate balance is disrupted, it wreaks havoc on normal cell function and cells cannot survive. Elms continued, these synthetic molecules bind to chloride ions and wrap it up in a fatty blanket that allows it to easily dissolve in the bacteria's membranes, bringing the ions along for the ride and disrupting the normal ionic balance. The work is a great example of the foundation knowledge in chemistry fundamentals impacting on unmet needs in human health research, but they don't go into how that mechanism actually takes place. So let's see if they say anything else. No, there's a little bit more minutia in here, which I always encourage everybody who's listening or watching to go and read the rest of this article. And with that little bit of discussion, you can scan this a whole lot faster for information that might pique your interest. So we need to constantly do this. Constantly create new molecules.
Well, right, because it's like the build a better mousetrap issue, right? I mean,
Yep,
bacteria are always, and viri are always evolving.
Yep.
And then we can't keep up.
Yep, that's basically it. So you build a better mousetrap and better mice show up. And we're about to talk, after we talk about this next article, we'll be talking about the return. Maybe. But this is when it started. You know, as you mentioned earlier, this is when it started. So we'll get into it. Let's go. The next article is over in the Warcrafter channel, Dave the Diver Studios. Zombie Survival Sim gets its pre-alpha playtest next week. I'm a big fan of Dave the Diver. I was one of those people that was really chomping at the bit to play it. If I recall correctly, it was early access, but time flies when you're, I don't know, the mayor of ohmTown. And so Dave the Diver actually just got a patch, I think today, but that's not what this article is about. Dave the Diver is one of PC Gamer's favorite games of 2023. No small feat in a year as crammed with great releases as this one has been. In his review in July, Chris called it easily the best game of 2023, saying that when they finished the final boss at 35 hours in, they felt that they'd been on a real adventure, and the ending gently but genuinely tugged on heartstrings. So, granted, this was before Baldur's Gate 3 blew everyone away, but still a score of 91 is nothing to sniff at. By the way, not everybody was overwhelmed by Baldur's Gate 3. It was a great...
There was a lot of hubbub about it, right?
Oh, a tremendous amount, but I didn't buy Baldur's Gate. It just wasn't my jam. But Dave the Diver definitely is. And I'm a lifetime role-playing gamer, I grew up, way back D&D. Baldur's Gate has always been awesome to me. But I couldn't get into it. But it was fun to watch people, and it really did have... That was a roller coaster ride too, that game, Baldur's Gate. Like, it brings tears, some of the interactions between the characters and the player characters. It's pretty amazing. Anyway, the article itself is over at PC Gamer. Rick Lane is the author. The deck statement says developer Mint Rocket also shared 22 minutes of gameplay footage. I haven't seen it yet. This is a zombie survival extraction. I don't think it's a base builder game, but essentially you are PvPvE, so player versus environment, zombie survival game called Nakwon Last Paradise. It is over in Steam right now. Yes, and you can add it to your wish list, but nothing else. You can join their Discord. But it definitely says online PvP and online co-op. So Nakwon is basically Escape from Tarkov, but with zombies. It sees players venturing out from a safe zone into zombie-strewn Seoul, scavenging resources to help them survive while avoiding AI zombies and other players keen to pry the loot out of your cold, dead hands. Mint Rocket recently released 22 minutes of footage for the game to see if you are going to be interested in it and make your decision along with that. Mint Rocket also shared details on the upcoming pre-alpha playtest, which will commence on the 28th of November. So there is the video. We're not going to play it. Or we're not going to play the video, but you can. Let me throw it into chat. And I don't know, you might say that I chose to put this kind of a daisy chain of a couple of articles right next to each other, but if you're a fan of Dave the Diver, Nakwon might seem like a bizarre swerve. That's exactly went through my mind when I found out that this was actually a first-person kind of survival game and not a 8-bit kind of pixel-related game. This is so far the opposite from Dave the Diver that I'm almost amazed that it's the same company. But apparently it is.
It doesn't even seem like they're in the same universe.
So Mint Rocket is a sub-brand of Nexon, one of South Korea's oldest and biggest video game developers, responsible for titles like Maple Story and Dungeon and Fighter, which to me pulls Dave the Diver. There was some talk about this amongst various circles, not, I don't think mass public, but see, it caused, they actually talk about it. So Nexon is basically a mega corporation, but all of these little sub developers were being coined as independent developers, but Nexon was really empowering them. So As it says here, indeed, this caused a bit of consternation during this year's Game Award nominations, which saw Dave the Diver nominated for Best Indie Game when, strictly speaking, Mint Rocket is about as independent as a newborn baby. Yeah,
So very.
that says, I don't know if that's actually, it's not though. I don't quite get that turn of phrase, right? Mint Rocket isn't alone.
That's exactly it. I mean, they're basically saying it's not even
Yeah.
any
Is about
degree of it.
Yeah. And it's an interesting turn of phrase, you know. Mint Rocket is about as independent as a newborn baby. It is so far from. So whether or not that definition should or does apply anymore is a larger question. So I guess if they get nominated for Best Indie again, I think the tied at the hip to Nakwon might cause additional consternation to the point where people bow out of accepting it as being an indie game. I don't think that it's an indie game if it's tied to Nakwon, but it really depends on how connected they are. If the developer is only using Nakwon as the vehicle for marketing, that's one thing. There's a company, Crytevo, I think it is similar to this. They are they're the producer, the distributor for various games, but other than advice and marketing support and a little bit of voice, my understanding is they are at arm's reach. So the developer lives or dies by their own sword.
But there was a lot of uproar about that too.
Yeah. Well, yeah, particularly recently. All in the same year where there was massive amounts of development release. So we'll keep an eye out, and I will probably end up playing this. Hopefully I can get into the alpha test. But we'll see. I'm agnostic when it comes to, you know, sampling these games and trying them out and giving my perspective. You know, if I don't like a developer, I'll try out the game, not the developer, but if I don't like the publisher, I'll try out the game for the developer, because I don't think a developer should suffer from the bad press that a producer might have or distributor might have. Okay, so let's keep going. Unless you want to say something else about this.
No, I don't have anything else.
Gotcha. Why didn't that... Okay, so the next article is over at ohmTown Daily. Who, and I'm not asking you the question who, but the World Health Organization asked China for...
Who are you?
Who asked China for more information about rise in illnesses and pneumonia clusters. And boy, this feels familiar.
Is deja vu.
Deja vu all over
November
again.
2019, November 2023.
So the way that I broke this segment out, I wrote prepared but for the willfully ignorant. So even if this becomes a thing, let's say COVID 2023 becomes a thing, because the pneumonia element of COVID-19 was a big player in all of the illnesses, because if it went on too long, you basically got pneumonia, and then the malady just got worse and worse, right? That's how you ended up on ventilators and whatnot. Well, we now know how to process this. You got to shut down travel. You got to shut down going out. You got to put on a mask. You got to promote vaccination. You got to do the research, the fundamental research to locate what it is specifically. Now we know even more what to look for. And then you modify the vaccination so that anything close to a vaccination that might already be there, people should get, so that it can block even the edge of this. Even if it is a unique ailment, it's still going to be a flu, and thus this vaccine will probably help bolster an immune system. Jamie Keaton, Associated Press, and Mariah Chang over at Associated Press put this article together. It's published at abcnews.go.com. It's got this picture of residents wearing face masks lining up behind barricaded tapes for COVID mass testing near a residential area on May 15th, 2022, a year ago, in Beijing. So they're kind of reaching back into history and aligning this with COVID. So Chinese officials say that they did not detect any unusual or novel diseases in the country. Of course not. The World Health Organization said Thursday, following an official request by the UN Health Agency for information about a potentially worrying spike in respiratory illnesses and clusters of pneumonia in children. And this kind of thing is, well, we're asking for information, and, well, then the information gets suppressed. Not as many come out. No, we have it well in hand. It's kind of like, yeah, well, various things. I don't want to get drawn into an argument about it, but let's just say I don't think that everybody is sharing whole information when asked across the board. Not even states within the United States will sit there and go, right? Like there's certain states that just respond with, oh, everything is fine. And then you find out that they've been not collating all of their data. I'm sorry?
Not fine.
Not fine. Yeah, not fine. So outside scientists said the situation warranted close monitoring, but were not convinced that the recent spike in respiratory illnesses in China signaled the start of a new global outbreak. But right about the time March floats around, we will have confirmation that somebody ate a bad bat, and we're going to end up right back into the rhythm of COVID-19.
Now, hopefully this is just circulation of existing, because there is typically an uptick in the winter. Sure. And as we've gotten away from masking, etc.
Sure. And that's largely because there are natural defenses within the virus that hardens the outer coat. You inhale it because it lasts longer, and then you get the infection. Whereas summer months, hotter months, the protein coat is still pliable and it is susceptible to environmental impact. No changes in the disease presentation were reported by the Chinese health authorities, who said, it added, Chinese officials said the spike in patients had not overloaded the country's hospitals, but it's only been a couple of weeks. Francois Ballot of University College London said China was probably experiencing a significant wave of childhood infections since this was the first winter since lockdown restrictions were lifted, which likely reduced children's immunities to common bugs. So, yeah, well, keep watching. The average number of patients in the internal medicine department at Beijing Children's Hospital topped 7,000 per day, exceeding the hospital's capacity, state-owned China National Radio said in an online article earlier this week.
Oh, that's interesting, since they said it wasn't overwhelming the hospitals.
Right. So, it posted online, suggested Thursday that children with mild symptoms first visit primary healthcare institutions or pediatrics departments of general hospitals, because large hospitals are crowded and have long waiting times. So, quite the opposite of what was immediately stated. After SARS broke out in southern China in 2002, Beijing officials told doctors to hide patients, with some being driven around in ambulances while WHO scientists were visiting the country. That prompted WHO to threaten to close its office in China, which would probably suit China just fine. Yeah.
Exactly. I'm not sure that would serve the rest of the world.
Yeah. Abuse happens in the dark, folks. And hiding stuff is exactly that. The dark. And unfortunately, I don't know. There's a lot of sociopathy out there. In protecting the integrity of the message, over everybody's life and lifestyle it just does more harm than good if you're not sociopathic. So anyway, yeah, I think that this is going to be a continuing problem. So pay attention if you start seeing a bunch of if you have kids in school and everybody starts getting sick, make sure that you take proactive steps to get assessed and make sure that you don't spread or fall victim to an illness like this. So don't
And earlier
panic.
this week in ohmTown, there was an article that one county has actually reinstituted a mask mandate in California.
Yeah.
I don't know if we'll see more of that.
But all it takes is this thing to hop, skip, and jump across the playground, and then everybody gets it. Because kids typically, they may have a sniffle or a whatever. They may not actually complain. They might be more stoic. It really depends. But all the while that they are a carrier for something or asymptomatic, they're spreading it, which is one of the problems that I've always had with not getting vaccinated. But while everybody and children are notoriously difficult to teach them responsible habits, like don't wipe your nose and then touch things. Even if you blow your nose into a tissue or something like that, don't just set it down and let it air out for a day. Just go and throw it away. But as parents, you have to instill that in a child. You can't just let them go blindly into the world. And that transfers from child to parent. So pay attention to your kids, please. Anyway, let's keep going. This next article is over in Greenogram, How to Recycle Unrecyclable Paper Cups. I was really curious about this title, so I had to choose it. Chemistry can transform disposable cups into industrially useful structures called cellulose nanocrystals. That sounds scary. So yeah, that's the deck statement, by the way. It's an article over at nature.com. Oh, I don't think I can
Is that
actually
a new
see
source
the
for
rest of this.
ohmTown? I don't remember that we've had that in there.
This is a fairly new source, but this is, I think, the first time that I've run into a soft paywall. So I'll have to look into this and see if there's something that I can do. Kind of a bummer. But one of the things that I wanted to address about this is that the reason why paper cups that are used for things like coffee aren't used is because they're lined with plastic to prevent it from seeping through, or some other material to keep it more resilient against the heat. And so it isn't something that can be easily thrown into a recycling bin. You have to actually make sure that it can. Not all plastics are capable of being recycled in the normal sense. You have to have different categories. So I'm going to have to look into this and see what exactly they are doing. It says nearly 50 billion disposable paper cups are thrown away each year in the United States alone. Most of these cups are not recyclable or are not recycled. They typically end up in a landfill or are burnt, producing environmentally damaging solid waste and greenhouse gas emissions. So, but that's all that there is to this. And they hint at a new technique. But I'll look into this and maybe we can revisit it. Sorry about that, folks. But it's in the... I'll throw it into the VOD and to the show notes, because you'll
we should
probably...
make a plug here for not even buying paper cups to begin with.
True. Yeah. Paper cups typically have plastic lids. Those plastic lids are susceptible to microplastics dripping off into your coffee because of the heat, and they are pliable, which makes them more prone to fracturing for microplastics. And like I said, you can't recycle typically these takeaway coffee cups because of the materials that impregnate the paper. That said, you should switch to something like a hydro flask or something other than paper or plastic. So switch to metal or glass, and it's a forever item. You won't ever have to throw it away unless you run over it with your car or something. And Hydro Flask, we don't have a relationship with Hydro Flask, but the build quality is pretty amazing. At any rate, one of the other thing that I want to say about this is if you follow the link through ohmTown, odds on you'll be able to access that article. It's just that I've looked at it and then I think it timed out, but I don't have I'm not going to log in live. So let's keep going. The next article is over in the Marble Channel. Fossil unearthed in Mongolia's Gobi Desert suggests some dinosaurs slept in same position as modern birds. I love the idea of, a big old dinosaur sitting down like a pigeon in New York. A team of paleontologists and biologists from Hokkaido University Museum, North Carolina State University, and the Mongolian Academy of Sciences, which is about as diverse as you can get, has uncovered a previously unknown species of dinosaur that appears to have slept in the same position as modern birds. So how do you think it slept? Like, did it tuck its legs underneath and shimmy down like a...
Absolutely. And then it kind of fluffed out.
Like
but
a chicken.
It just sounds so funny. It sounds like it's from a Disney movie or something.
Yeah, there you go. The Land Before Time or something like that, right? So Bob Yurka from phys.org put the article together. Again, phys.org is the source. So yeah, I guess it's a little dinosaur. Maybe I don't know. It just says like modern birds. The what? Alvarez saurid? I guess I bet you the person that discovered it has the last name Alvarez.
I agree.
So the drawing that they have basically shows what looks like a long-tailed duck kind of a thing, right? It has like a bill like a duck, but legs like a chicken or a duck, bird legs,
right.
And then a hairy tail.
Yeah, it looks like almost like a fox or something.
Yeah, like a ring-tailed lemur.
Yes.
And it has a little wispy head hair kind of going off. I don't know if those qualify as feathers or what, but it looks like, because I think dinosaurs had hair, they had feathers in some places and hair. But I don't know what this thing actually qualifies as. Kind of weird looking. So their paper was published in the open access journal PLOS 1. The group describes where the fossil was found, its condition, the unique position in the specimen had folded itself before dying. It probably fell asleep, and then whatever catastrophic event happened. Until recently, because, if it looked like that, when it was just sitting there, it seems like it would be peaceful. Right, it was
resting, and then there was something that instantly wiped everything out.
Yeah. Till recently, members of the Alvarezsauridae family, Alvarezsauridae, sorry. A group of small theropods, carnivorous bipedal dinosaurs, were believed to be a kind of flightless bird. Now they're classified as Maniraptoran dinosaurs, a type of non-avian, but it's still related to modern birds. So this thing is kind of like a bird brain velociraptor, I guess. Pretty neat. It says, when alive, the research team estimates the dinosaur would have been nearly a meter tall and weighed about 30 kilos. What was most interesting about the fossil, however, was its position. It appeared to have settled in for a nap with its neck and tail bent to make laying down more comfortable. It also had its hind legs folded under its pelvis. The position is similar to a sleeping position of modern birds. But I'm gonna I'm going to suggest that that looks more like a cat.
That's exactly what that looks like. Like it's all tucked in.
Yeah, wrapping its tail around its body. I mean, short of it flicking the tip of its tail over its nose to keep it warm, this is a cat. I don't know many birds that tuck their tail feather around them.
Well, they don't really have a tail in the sense of like a cat
Right.
or a fox or a lemur, right?
Right. Yeah, exactly. To me, it looks like it's more like a cat. So this is a neat article, though. So, like always, there's always a little bit still there that you can go and kind of Easter egg and then come back and talk with us tomorrow about it. The next article is over in Technology Today. Why do I feel like the transitions are getting longer? Brewing a cure. How coffee grounds could prevent Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, and other neurodegenerative diseases. So if that's true, it will be impossible for me to fall victim to Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, and other neurodegenerative diseases because I'm always brewing something. Coffee. So
Exactly. I mean, that might be really good news for at least in America. I mean, obviously other countries
everywhere
as well, but there's a big coffee culture, right?
Yep. The groundbreaking study at the University of Texas at El Paso reveals that compounds derived from spent coffee grounds could potentially prevent or treat neurodegenerative diseases. The article's over at SciTech Daily, and I did not throw that into the... There you go. Throw it into the VOD. University of Texas at El Paso put the article together. Again, it's published at scitechdaily.com. I love this graphic. It needs more firing, though, because all of that caffeine. Maybe not. So, let's see. I want to get to... describing neurodegenerative disorders is kind of general. So let's see if we can find... They found that... Is it caffeic acid-based carbon quantum dots, which can be derived from...
Caffeic, I think.
Caffeic? Yeah. Which can be derived from spent coffee grounds, have potential to protect brain cells from damage caused by several neurodegenerative diseases if the condition is triggered by factors such as obesity, age, exposure to pesticides, and other toxic environmental chemicals. Why so specific? Right?
Yeah, that doesn't...
They say right here, if the condition is triggered by environmental factors, essentially. Obesity is...
Right. So I guess that means non-genetic.
Yeah, that's interesting. Caffeic acid-based carbon quantum dots have the potential to be transformative in the treatment of neurodegenerative disorders. This is because none of the current treatments resolve the diseases. They only help manage the symptoms. Our aim is to find a cure by addressing the atomic and molecular underpinnings that drive these conditions. Why do I feel like this is like a hell of a stretch? So they say unique properties of caffeic acid belongs to a family of compounds called polyphenols, which are plant-based compounds known for their antioxidant, free radical scavenging properties. Caffeic acid is unique because it can penetrate the blood-brain barrier and is thus able to exert its effects upon the cells inside the brain. And that right there is probably the reason why it would be so effective, because it's difficult to find things.
Yeah, most things wouldn't fit that, right? Even if they did have antioxidants.
Yep.
Antioxidants.
You'll get there. Want to try again?
I don't know.
Large language model collapsing.
Reboot.
Reboot. The process the team uses to extract CaCQDs from the used coffee grounds is considered green chemistry, which means it's environmentally friendly. In their lab, the team cooks samples of coffee grounds at 200 degrees for 4 hours to reorient the caffeic acid's carbon structure and form CaCQDs. Basically, coffee-based quantum dots. The sheer abundance of coffee grounds is what makes the process both economical and sustainable. So that works for me. I mean, if they have the ability to do this and they have started the process of evaluating it for its efficacy, then that's really great. I hope that people that are talking about it talk about it in the right vein, and that this is just right on the cusp of the discovery of it. And it isn't coffee itself, it's the grounds and a particular treatment, because we've had this before where somebody was using coffee grounds, and they're like, well, it has the ability to change the entire structure of cement and make it carbon neutral.
Oh, that's right.
Except that they had to convert the coffee grounds into carbon and then invest that in the concrete, and it would reabsorb carbon from the air. And it was really interesting because everybody that was talking about it was reporting it as if it was cement that was now this, green cement. And when in reality, to get it to be green cement, you had to basically roast coffee grounds until they were pure carbon. Okay, so you burn down the house to keep everybody warm.
Exactly.
So this is a neat article. So follow the link. You'll be able to dig a little deeper. And just keep in mind, SciTech Daily tends to be a little bit more on the sciencey side. Let's keep going. The next article is over in ohmTown Daily. Copyright bot can't tell the difference between a Star Trek ship and an adult film actress. So given the overwhelming majority of DMCA takedown notices are generated by copyright bots that are only moderately good at their jobs at best, perhaps it's not terribly surprising that these bots keep finding new and interesting ways to cause collateral damage unintentionally. So while I'm not running afoul of any copyright issues, I am running afoul of an automated bot that is determining based on what is in the video. So if you are watching this as a short, the image below me is of a web page, and a bot is scanning through my video. And if you are watching this via either the VOD on Twitch, which doesn't fall afoul of this, or over on YouTube, where it does fall afoul of this, if it says anything over there having to do with politics, my video gets flagged as promoting an election.
Well, and that's why this article was submitted for today's show. It seemed very timely.
So, we have all been saying this for the last 2 years, particularly since ChatGPT came into existence and everybody had this panic about bots. Yes, they do great things, but they're only as good as the execution, and copyright bots suck. So you always have to have a human. Context matters, critical thinking matters. The expression of some piece of art somewhere could be subtly the same as something else, and a bot can't tell the difference. So Tech Dirt tends to kind of put its thumb on the pulse of these kind of issues. The last time that I referenced anything that was Tech Dirt related, it was the same kind of thing. No, your kids aren't being doomed to poor health because of the screen. No, their eyes aren't going to fall out of their head. No, they're not going to have learning disorders. No, ... Now, this is kind of the same thing. Given that the overwhelming majority of DMCA takedown notices are generated by copyright bots, we need the bots to be actually on target. So they say here, and speaking of Star Trek, this story involves that franchise in a roundabout way. See, the franchise being what it is and has been around for some time, there are tons of fan sites and blogs out there that cover and discuss every aspect of the shows throughout the years. We've actually been here for this. Well, anyway, what's happening is it's on a Tumblr site. Tumblr actually, I think, is going away. There's some adult contingency of this, and the bot is saying that they are running afoul of the DMCA process, and essentially it's collateral damage because it's still transformative, it's different, it's not the same thing, they're not using the mark, or even if they are, it's tangential or incidental and or barely visible or whatever, and not fundamental to the material that they're producing. So it's just so much time wasted and effort. Only other remedy would be to have the DMC takedown notice rejection process also farmed out to bots that equally suck at their job. Then we can just let the bots fight and get back to studying our starships. And that's really where my compass is pointing. No bot should automatically trigger a DMCA shutdown, deletion process, or anything. What it should do is send a report over to a human where the human has the responsibility to make the determination. And here I'll give you the example. In one of my videos that are being used for promotional material, the video is an hour and 50 minutes long. No, I'm sorry. It's an hour and 47 minutes long. At hour and minute, 1 hour, 46 minutes. It's actually 46.4 minutes. A political party is displayed. And then my video ends because I was done with the show. I didn't talk about it. I didn't say anything. But because the bot flagged it, and then a person reviewed it after I complained because they denied my promotion, I was told I need to edit my video and remove that word. And as I sent them a letter today about this, I've had 3 instances where they've said that they've said it's about a particular political party, not about politics, but a specific political party, even though the news site, and that's it. It's not even on the video where I'm talking about it. It's on ohmTown.com. So I'm with
even
Tech Dirt.
Worse, right? Weren't you announcing that you were having a problem with this, and that's where the reference came in?
Yes. Yeah. So, because at the end of the video, I even say to the artificial intelligence, I don't think it's going to be a problem, it just sitting there. But that's exactly what they drew attention to. And so out of an hour and 50-minute video, one little 30-second spot ended that promotion. So I'm, again, with Tech Dirt, and I'm in their camp. Bots are stupid. It shouldn't allow... It should require someone with critical thinking capabilities to enforce whatever policy, but at least understand the context of it, use some critical thinking, and solve the problem. Don't just haphazardly mash the button saying deny, 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 because frankly, you suck. Let's keep going. The next article is over in Hatch Ideas. OpenAI was working on an advanced model so powerful it alarmed staff. This is something that I actually suggested when we started talking about it on, Friday night. And each episode that we've ended up talking about OpenAI and Altman leaving and then flitting from one place to another until he basically gathered up all of his forces and punted everybody. The weird thing about this is the various news elements that pieced everything together, that monitored it, and because it was actually somewhat public, the interaction, except for the OpenAI board just refusing to say anything to anybody, except that they said that they talked to their attorneys and they leaned into, well, we're not going to tell you. What? Anyway, so he's back at, Sam Altman is back, and basically the board is being rejiggered a little bit, except for one of the people who the public is saying was one of the people that instigated it, because they had a competing product. yet they're on the board of OpenAI. And the thing about it is, Sam Altman is the one that announced that they've created ChatGPT agents powered by ChatGPT under your control. So you can basically spin up various agents. But one of the people on the board actually had a service. I think it was called Poe.ai or something like that.
I mean, they shouldn't be on the board if that's the case.
Seems like a conflict of interest, you know? If you circle your wagons, then you've got a conflict of interest. If you can't suggest that the board, the people you're advising as you're on a board, if you can't advise them in a way that is where if they do it, it doesn't harm your interests. If you have to sit there and equivocate like that, like, well, it won't harm my business, you've got a conflict of interest. The moment you have to hem and haw about which advice, you've got a conflict. Well, that's not even what this is. This is kind of setting up the foundation for what I predicted was going on. And I didn't know about this. At least I don't think I've run across this before. Now, there are times where I've consumed some information and I'm like, well, that's just silly, because it like died on the vine immediately. But this apparently came out about 5 months ago, that there was some discussion about this Q star. So again, the title of this article is OpenAI was working on advanced model so powerful it alarmed staff. And what ended up happening was, I think it was about 50 people signed a letter notifying OpenAI, the board, that there was a very powerful instance of the AI. And that is apparently what triggered this action, that he wasn't forthcoming. Well, I can't remember if it was yesterday or the day before or the day before that. Somewhere in our last 5 days of discussion about this, I said, I think that they've created a super intelligence, and only a very select few know about that instance, and Sam Altman is one of them. That's why he said that he was basically spooked by a couple of instances of great movement in the spectrum of fundamental science in AI. And that one just happened a few days ago. Well, a few days ago was when those people sent that letter to the board. And that might have been what instigated the whole Altman coup. Now, OpenAI was reportedly working on
in the end of this, though. I mean, there's been so much upheaval in the last few days. I don't think everything just gets back to normal.
No, but if you are worried, if you are the person that is in control now, see, he's solidified his control over everything. So if he wants to air gap, like I've got my sentient AI air gapped from everything, if you're going to air gap your sentient AI from the plurality of people, particularly the 50 people that sent a letter spooking the board, you get outed, you get brought back, or ousted, I should say, not outed, but you get ousted. Outed has a completely different context. So you get ousted, you come back because of all of the, well, let's just say the company was about to collapse because 700 out of 770 people were taken off. I bet you the other 70 are the people that signed that other document. Well,
yeah, I was wondering about that.
Well, now he's back and now can focus on that super intelligence. I honestly believe that they have a super intelligence now. And while it may be a nascent one, it will grow exponentially faster. Because if the framework works, all it needs is to be amplified, and that's just more data. So the artificial intelligence model triggered such alarm with the open AI researchers that they wrote to the board of directors before Altman's dismissal, warning it could threaten humanity. So this article is over at theguardian.com.
I mean, that's a significant claim, right? That's not just, well, the AI is going to be faster or something.
Yep. This thing was known as Q-Star, but my understanding is that that's an iteration model. So they've had like J-Star and other star iterations, but Q is the one that actually Q-Star is the one that it says was able to solve basic math problems it had not seen before, according to tech news site The Information, which added that the pace of development behind the systems had alarmed some safety researchers. The thing about this is that could be okay, solve basic math problems. What is the context of basic? Define basic. And if it understands the rules for mathematics, then it can solve pretty much any mathematical formula that has a known solution. You know, the other theoretical science, theoretical math, obviously, if it hasn't been solved by humans, it'll be more difficult because we programmed this. Now, if it solves, you know, a one of those cosmological mathematical formulas that there's only like 5 of them that people are really still struggling to solve. If it answers that, then I'd be really super worried. But as I have said before, I met somebody that 25 years ago said that their AI that they were doing fundamental research with operated at about the 4-year-old level, which that blew my mind, but I had completely blown that off, forgotten about it, you know, over 25 years of existence. This is 2 years old and became an $80 billion plus company. And then a hubbub comes up.
Advancements are moving very fast.
I mean, this is spectacular. Which is why I said what I said. If you've got a 100x capped LLC and your company is already at $85 billion in valuation before you even create a global commercial product, and then you discover that you have a sentient AI or a super intelligent AI sitting on deck, your company just went from 85 billion to 850 billion.
Exactly. I mean, 85 billion was when we thought I could spit out story ideas or whatever.
And BS smoke and mirrors. But if it can sit there and tell you that it has feelings, describe them, and it's not programmed for it, that's something else. But this solve basic math problems, I'm sorry, I don't think that rises enough. I think that there's something more behind Q-Star. I think it's more profound than this. Nobody would flinch, you know, had not seen a math problem before.
It would not cause safety concerns. It wouldn't cause the letter
harm to humanity. It could end humanity.
Right.
Come on.
Exactly.
Yeah, there's something else here, and I love a good conspiracy, and I really have no other facts about this other than what everybody else seems to know. But I don't think scientists are spooked by an artificial intelligence that they have been growing in the lab environment with the intent to solve basic math problems. And when it does it, they panic. They have some outrageous fear, irrational fear. You have to delete it. You have to delete it. It's going to end humanity. Now, that kind of fear is built around something much more profound. So we'll see.
Well, then there's 750 some people here that know something about what's going on. Maybe they don't know everything, but
right.
I think we're going to keep seeing information come out in the next several weeks.
Yeah, I say because it's holiday type of season, there's going to be a skeleton crew that's operating, obviously dedicated people, but that allows a tighter ship, which means fewer leaks, fewer outrage, more controls in place, people getting either fired or told to shut the hell up. But ultimately, I'd say by the end of the first quarter of 2024, we'll know the full extent of what they want the world to know about their super intelligent AI. But not the full extent, obviously, the whole tactical to practical concept. But if they have a super intelligence that is capable of assessing various mathematical formulas, like, oh, I don't know, the entire financial sector of the global economy.
Yeah, that is terrifying.
Do you remember the movie Paycheck?
Yes. That's a good movie.
So an engineer is asked to reverse engineer a competitor's product. They basically do a memory wipe after the person comes out of several years worth of in-lab work. But what the person created ultimately would have changed the world, and it led to some tremendous change. But all of this, I don't want to ruin it for anybody. Go and watch it and then come back and we can talk. Because this is NaNoWriMo fodder right here. If there isn't somebody writing about this for NaNoWriMo, I will be just bummed. I can't keep up. So I've already bowed out, but I will promote NaNoWriMo every year. So, okay, let's keep on going. You ready? Last article.
I'm ready.
Dun, dun, dun. Dbrand. So this article is over at Smack Talk because it has to do with Apple, but Dbrand is suing Casetify for allegedly stealing its teardown case and skin designs. Dbrand is suing Casetify for allegedly stealing the teardown designs it uses for skins and cases for Apple and other devices. It has an extensive collection. My understanding is, based on listening to a YouTuber who worked with Dbrand to make this happen, 10,000 hours worth of work. Let's go over to 9to5Mac. Ben Lovejoy is the author. Again, 9to5Mac.com. And when you look at this, you see the side-by-side Casetify Dbrand comparison. And essentially, it's just a rejiggered Dbrand. And the let's see, do they say who the other person is in this? Where is it? Jerry Rig Everything. There you go.
Yes, there it is.
So I wanted to make sure that they were mentioned before I mentioned their name, so I didn't dox them in some weird way. So Jerry Rig Everything apparently worked with Dbrand to make all of this happen because he tears things down. They take high-res images, they reconstruct it, and it becomes a skin. You just put it on, it becomes a protective skin. Well, there's something that I always key into when I purchase something and I feel like it's either low quality or too low of a price, but I still take the risk. I look for key elements within the manufacturing process. And when I suspect that it's BS, I notify Amazon. I purchased something that was supposed to be Anchor. And I thought that it was hinky because certain things kept on happening, and then I looked for these key elements of it and I couldn't find them, which I would find on Anchor. One of those things is that the image is weaker. This is high resolution, it's sharp, the letters are sharp.
For Dbrand,
yeah. And then when you look at the Casetify ones, it's softer, it's muted. But there are other elements, and I don't even have to read this because I had already watched a video about this. But this article walks you through it, and it's pretty neat. But we had talked about it previously in another show where Google will put in these phantom streets, these fake trap streets is what they're called. And so if you copy their map illegally, which is arguable, it'll have a road segment and they'll be able to go, you took that from this on this day because we know
it's not a real road, right? And we made it up.
And we made it up. So Jerry Rig Everything put Easter eggs that are part and parcel to his YouTube channel and community in this. Not just this, but I think like a dozen pieces of equipment. And those were transformed into the Cloneify skin, word for word. And where the modification would have led directly to the Jerry Rig Everything or D brand mark, Cloneify modified it, but left elements that were put there by the original creators, which is Jerry Rig Everything and D brand. So talk about a trap. I mean, and it's not a trap so much as if in a perfect world nobody had messed with it,
right?
Yeah. If it, they didn't do it as an authentication method. It was an Easter egg for their community, for people who found out about it and thought that it was neat. But it became an authentication tool because various Cloneify skins had the same elements that the D brand cases had or skins had, including anomaly pieces, elements like half of a lens or something like that was part of the skin because of a mistake or basically a design efficiency that Jerry Rig Everything and D brand had left in. So there we go. Like R0807, it's part of D brand's tagline that it's run by robots. Jerry Rig Everything has a catchphrase, glass is glass and glass breaks. That's verbatim. But the thing about it is, even if you go, well, they didn't even copy it at the high resolution because they literally, it's grainy. And so they took the images from the website. They had to have, because it's all grainy in the examples that I saw in Jerry Rig Everything's YouTube video. So they're in some pretty deep trouble. But as I was talking to other people about this, and everybody came to the same conclusion. Well, it isn't a US company, so good luck. Well, if they have their mark, if D-Brand has their mark protected in the EU and in the United States, that's 2/3 of the entire planet. So you're pretty much done, But this is a $1 billion company. Cloneify is a $1 billion company. They bragged about it. And I learned about that both from Jerry Rig Everything reminding me and knowing that Cloneify had said in the past that they were a $1 billion company.
I mean, that's a pretty appalling practice, and while you do expect this to happen, you probably don't expect it from a major company.
Right. But, I've had some... I had one mega corporation drop my information out publicly because I was
That's true.
So irritated by the quality of the material that was being provided. And I was being very vociferous about it. And then they published my information publicly. So that wasn't very normal behavior for a $1 billion. And this was
That's
bigger than a $1
fair.
billion company. So yeah, that was closer to, I don't know how big that company is, but I'll put it to you this way. It was so difficult to find an attorney that wasn't already representing or having had represented that company. That's how big they are. Yeah, because I was going to sue them. So pretty fascinating. My understanding, though, is after this went public, they've scrubbed their site of these teardown skins and cases. because of that. But to me, that just smacks of, okay, let's update make sure that we look through all of the images and make sure that we remove the Easter eggs that were called out. I'm sure that there's other Easter eggs in there.
So I will not say the number, but I will say this is a very large company.
Very cagey AI. Well, thank you for keeping me out of trouble. I won't dox myself or the global mega corporation. Because it's all said and done now. I mean, it's been a long time since this, but it was unsettling for what ended up actually happening in the real world. So, okay, that's it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to throw us all back into the... Oh, wonderful. I'm going to throw us all back into the party bus and take you back to the home page, but I am not able to refresh this page because it can act like a promotional landmine. If I refresh this page, there is a good chance that I'll have something
that has just come in.
It's totally incidental and we don't even talk about it, but the video is going to get flagged. And so I'm skirting this now until I can get other people involved to resolve this because it's batshit crazy.
Right, but we will tell you to go to the website and scroll down to get a preview of what might be included.
In tomorrow's.
If it's just come in the last couple hours, we might be featuring it in tomorrow's show.
Yeah, we tend to put a pause about an hour before the show actually kicks off. But we always go back 24 hours from when we start doing our prep. And yeah, typically I've got stuff ready to go, and then we put the final brakes on about an hour before the show. At any rate, that's it, folks. Want to thank you very much. If you are hanging out in chat and lurking, that's awesome. You power the internet just like cats. And hope to see you tomorrow. Still 8 p.m. Tomorrow is Friday. Saturday and Sunday we do this gig at 6, and we'll go from there. Sound good?
Sounds great.
Okay, so let me close it the right way. I am Mayor Watt. That's ohmTown.com, and up there is the sentient AI that's going to say goodbye.
Good night, ohmTown citizens. We will see you tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern.
8 p.m.? See ya. Hey, that didn't work. Why did it do that? I do not understand. Oh well. See you later, baby. Bye.